Lori Flannery, CEO of New Housings Directions Corporation, Board Secretary for the club, and Chair of the Governance Committee.
Thank you, President Jean. Fellow Rotarians, as we gather here today, November 4th of 2021, may we pray we see and take advantage of the many opportunities we have to better serve our community here locally, in our nation, and the world. May we understand how fortunate we are to be able to be of service and to have this special fellowship as Rotarians. And when we leave this room this afternoon, after sharing this well-prepared food and learning more about our opportunities through our speaker and other leadership, as we venture forth into the coming week, let us remember to see the big picture in all things, acting in accordance with our best selves and granting the benefit of the doubt, presuming the good intentions of everyone we meet. Amen.
Thank you, Lori. And now to lead us in the pledge and four-way test is Tom Crimmins, Club Director, Paul Harris Fellow, +4, sustaining member, 1912 Society member, and member of the Rotary Honor Scholars and Community Impact Committee. All around, great guy.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now with all these great Rotarians, past governors and so forth, this next part should be really easy. The four-way test. Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Back to you, President Chief.
Thank you, Tom. Rotarians, you may be seated. It is always our pleasure to welcome guests, and especially at the table in the back, we have some students from Silver Creek High School Academy of Finance today. Can you stand, students, so we can give you a round of applause? Thank you for joining. Now, Rotarians, please take this time to introduce yourself first, then your guest, and guests, please stand to be recognized when your name is called.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Delane Taylor with DMLO and helping out in the Rotary office. So hopefully you guys have seen my name. I am the chair of the Speakers Committee, and I am happy to announce that these two student tables have been sponsored, one by DMLO CPAs and one by Mr. Woody Northup. So we are excited to have the Academy of Finance with us today. I was going to have them all come up and introduce themselves, but in the interest of time, I just would like to encourage you all to go say hello to them after the meeting. Welcome.
President Jean, Denise Sears, my guest today is Dr. Bhupalan from Norton Healthcare.
Jean, my guests today are Michael Parker, who's an assistant governor here in the district. Past district governor Sue Wright, who is from Southern Indiana. Doug Drake and Kimberly O'Brien, who are with Personal Counseling Services. My wife Kathy. And past district governor Othrace German. And district governor-elect Nancy Joester. They keep it in the family.
All right, Rotarian guests, if you'd like to learn more about our club, please stay after the meeting for a brief "What is Rotary" section. Where's the table? Over there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. And the president of the Louisville Suburban Club, A.W. Bowie. A.W.
And there's Greg Sherman in the back with the "What is Rotary" table. If you have any questions, he can answer them all. We have a very special addition to our program today with a message from two distinguished Rotarians who represent the Rotary Club of Shimoga, India. This is a classic example of how Rotarians around the world are connecting to serve to change lives. Let's watch.
Hello, I'm Denise Sears. I am the president and CEO of SOS International. I am so proud to be here with Christine Gauss, who were all involved in an outreach for Ramadan, India. Thanks to the very generous support of local.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
So technology is supposed to make us all smarter.
Who were all involved in an outreach for Ramadan, India. Thanks to the very generous support of Northern.
No, sorry about that. We've got the video here, but it's not projected.
Critically needed response when they were in the midst of a crisis due to the Delta variant. The first person I want to join us is Dr.
So,
Okay.
Denise Sears.
Okay, hold on.
Possibly come up here and explain what we're watching. Thank you.
Where is it?
Denise Sears is board chair. And how many committees are you chairing now? Oh my God, I don't know.
The technology is probably my fault. I was sending Chris all kinds of links last night. I'm not technologically very savvy. What this is about is a project that served Shimoga, India during the height of the Delta variant crisis. And there's a role played by Rotary as well as Norton Healthcare, which is really the focus of the message today. Dr. Bhupalan, who's my guest, was originally from Shimoga, India. And when the Delta variant was creating a huge crisis, he wanted to do something to help the people in his original homeland. He was connected to Rotary, who connected him to SOS. So we started working with him, but it does cost money to do these things. And I got a phone call from the Norton Healthcare Foundation, unbeknownst to them that I was talking to Dr. Bhupalan, just generously reaching out and asking if there was anything they could do to help India. And I said, well, your timing is perfect, because one of your own physicians is from Shimoga and is in desperate need of some financial support to send a large container of medical supplies and equipment. They called me back 5 minutes later and said, absolutely.
Hello, I'm
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So we worked on getting that container out in record time, 2 weeks. It had ventilators on it that actually had been donated by Norton Healthcare, as well as many PPE supplies. It was valued at over $200,000. It arrived in India. It was dedicated to the McCann Hospital by the Shimoga Rotary Club. And the supplies were used to establish a brand new ward at the hospital, which is the only hospital treating COVID patients in a community of over 500,000 people. They opened a ward dedicated to treating COVID patients in honor of Norton Healthcare and Dr. Bhupalan. The other night I had the great distinction of speaking with Dr. Karana and Dr. Murthy, who are also originally from Shimoga. Dr. Mariana is actually still there. And I was able to hear from them the tremendous impact that this outreach had on their community in combating COVID, and the overwhelming expression of gratitude that they had to Norton Healthcare and to Dr. Bhupalan. So unfortunately, you didn't get the benefit of hearing from them. These two Rotarians, Dr. Mariana was district governor in his region, as well as led the polio committee in India.
Dr. Murphy is president of his club. He now lives in Colorado. So these were really, really well distinguished Rotarians. I chair a committee. I mean, I was just a little peon compared to these guys. So, this is about thanking Norton Healthcare for their generous support of a critically needed humanitarian response to India. And we have Riggs Lewis with us, who's a fellow Rotarian, and Dr. Bupal.
We will send a link to the video out by email so that you can all watch it at your leisure.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you again, Riggs and Dr. Gopal and Denise and Rotarians for your work in service around the world. At this time, we'd like to welcome Chairman John Germ and Vice President Ken Grossman to the stage for special presentations.
Good afternoon. We'd like to take a moment to recognize our Paul Harris Fellows. With Bruce Engelhardt, Thomas Stone, please join us on stage. And welcome Harry Bryan, who's joining us via Zoom. Okay. Okay. For those here today who've earned their Paul Harris Fellow pins, please stand and be recognized. An appreciation for the many ways in which you exemplify Rotary's motto of service above self, and on behalf of the women and men of our Rotary Club, it is our honor and pleasure to recognize you as Paul Harris Fellows. You are promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, saving mothers and children, supporting education, and growing local economies. You are also providing funds for matching district grants that support projects in our community and other communities in Louisville. And we will provide the Paul Harris certificates and pins at another time duly noted.
Yeah, you stay.
Don't go anywhere.
Now, I'd like to call Woody Norton up to the podium to introduce our distinguished speaker. Woody Norton is CEO of Radio Sound Inc., past president, past district governor, Paul Harris Fellow, 1912 Society, to introduce our speaker.
Gene. There is no one in my Rotary experience of more than 30 years who has had more of an impact on both our great organization and our world than John Germ. His tireless and relentless pursuit of polio eradication is legendary. His contribution of time, talent, treasure has forcibly impacted his club, his district, his zone, and our Rotary world time and time again. I'll mention just a few of his accomplishments. John joined Rotary in 1976. He currently serves as chair of the Rotary Foundation Board of Trustees. John served as Rotary International president in 2016 and 2017. He has served as RI vice president, director, as foundation vice chair, foundation trustee, aide to the foundation trustee chair, chair of Rotary's $200 million polio challenge, RI board executive committee member, chair of numerous other committees, area coordinator, and RI training leader. In 2013, the White House recognized him as a champion of change. John is the retired chairman and CEO of Gamble and Associates, consulting engineers in Chattanooga. He joined the company in 1965 after serving 4 years as the navigator on a Douglas C-124 jet in the Air Force. In 1965, his jet carried the Gemini 4 space capsule to Cape County. When John served as president of Rotary in 2016 and 17, he chose the theme, Rotary Serves Humanity. No one lives that theme better than tonight's speaker, and we claim him as our own here in zones 30 and 31. On a personal note, there is no one who has been more generous, not just with his money, although he's given plenty, with his time, his effort, his ingenuity, his energy to Rotary projects, Rotary zones, Rotary clubs all over the world. Please welcome John Germ, Rotary Foundation trustee chair.
It's good to be with you. This is a different venue than when I was here before. I think we were at down on the river. Dollhouse, yes. Very beautiful view out here today, and it's a pleasure for Judy and I. Let me introduce my wife, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. So Judy, would you stand up, please? It is a pleasure for me to be here. I think Woody thought I was coming from Chicago. Well, the Chicago offices are not even open. Saves you a lot of money. But we're in Chattanooga, Saudi Daisy. We have to tell everybody we're from Chattanooga because nobody knows where Saudi Daisy is, but it's not, you know, you did because you went to the college. Let me tell you, we appreciate your parents leaving money in Chattanooga. It's about 19 miles north, east of Chattanooga, so we drove up yesterday. And I was telling Woody and a few others a few minutes ago that we say we need more trucks. Well, they ain't been on the same highway as I've been on, but they need more trucks, I'll tell you that. So they're all over delivering those goods. But thank you for the opportunity. You know, we just finished a great celebration of World Polio Day. And I thought I might talk a little bit about polio and how Rotary became involved with polio. And then this is Foundation Month, so we need to talk a little bit about the generosity of Rotarians and what Rotarians have done around the world, and some of the things that maybe your club has done, or some of the projects that we've seen that we were there, but you weren't, but yes, you were because your money was there. So let's start a little bit about polio. Rotarians around the world have visions. We have visions of having a better world. We have visions of having people with proper education, sufficient food, proper health. Girls being able to go to school after they're 10 years old because they're proper sanitation facilities. One individual, Sir Klumph, who was president of Rotary in 1978, had a vision. He read where smallpox had been eradicated, so he had a vision. Was there something like that that Rotary could do on a worldwide basis? And prior to that, Rotary only worked within their local community, which is fantastic work, because that's how Rotary was started out of fun and fellowship. But then service came along a little bit later. He called one of his DGEs, and I know we have a DGE here today, so I promise I won't call you ask you what your vision is. On the other hand, I am asking you for your help, which you have graciously done, so thank you for that. So he called Dr. John Sever, who happens to still be a member of the International Polio Plus Committee now. And asked if there's anything that they could do, that we could do, such as the eradication of a disease. John Sever knew Dr. Saban. So he called Dr. Saban and they got together, and the answer came back a resounding yes. There is something we can do. That is, we can eradicate polio, because we have a vaccine that is easily to distribute by just squeezing 2 drops into a child's mouth. Dr. Salk, who originally invented the vaccine, said you can't do that. It won't work. Well, he's partially right in the fact that we are now converting over to the kill vaccine, which is the one you put in with a needle. But if we would never have been able to reach, for example, in India, in one day, or one National Immunization Day, 140 million children in one day. Just think about that, and think about the number of people that have to be involved in order to do that. Rotary took their vision with $760,000 from a health, hunger, and humanity grant, where they had different countries apply for these funds to vaccinate children in their country. The Philippines submitted the best proposal because they had the Rotary clubs, the districts, they had the government and the political leadership all backing them in this effort. So just think, $760,000, 3 years to provide vaccine, to vaccinate 6 million children in the Philippines. James Bomar, who happened to be from my district, when I was the governor, Judy and I were having dinner with him and his wife. And I asked you about that experience. And we have visited that exact site where Rotary has a plaque recognizing the work. They have a plaque recognizing what Rotary did. He said while he was trying to place those 2 drops into a child's mouth, he felt something pulling in his pants. He said, I didn't want to look down because I didn't want to spill that vaccine. But when I got through, there was a crawler, young boy, probably 10 to 12 years old, he said, arms all mangled underneath him, crawling around, his legs bent, pushed himself around. He said, thank you, mister. That's my sister. She will not be crippled as I am. What that little boy was saying was, thank you, Rotary. Thank you, Rotary, for having a vision. Thank you for taking on some project that is so numerous that you are willing to contribute funds. You're willing to show up to help place those drops in a child's mouth that you don't know, that will probably never meet again. But you had a vision. You had the willingness. And that's what we have today. Everybody in this room has a vision. You can walk out the front door of your house. You can look to the right. You can look to the left. You can look at the television for the news. And you can see needs that need to be done. They're not easy to do. 1982, Rotary went to the World Health Alliance, World Health Organization. They would not even let the president of Rotary into that room or the general secretary to make a proposal about how we could eradicate polio from the face of the earth. 1985, Rotary said, we don't care. We're going to do it. So we set out and had a goal of $120 million. How many of you remember 1985? Some of you do it here. You're just ashamed to admit it. 1985, we said we were going to raise $120 million. And that would eradicate polio from the face of the earth. There's 100 million children under the age of 5. So that's what we could do. Fundraising people, we never had a fundraising drive like that. So the fund development people said, you can't do it. You'll never raise $120 million. if you get commitments for $120 million, you'll never collect all of it. They didn't know Rotary, did they? They didn't know that when Rotary sets a goal, Rotary works hard to accomplish that. They didn't know that when Rotary makes a promise, Rotarians keep their promises. And yes, we did receive all the money we raised. But we did not raise $120 million. We raised $247 million.
All right.
Contributed to that campaign. And we thank you. Went along. All of a sudden, WHO, UNICEF, CDC, all said, those people got a good idea. Why don't we join them? And why don't we start an organization called the Global Polio Eradication Initiative to eradicate polio? So in 1988, this vision started down another road. That road at that time had 1,000 cases of polio per day. Many of us, as growing up, couldn't go to the public swimming places. We couldn't play with the kids next door during the summertime for the fear of getting polio. 125 different countries. You know what? That didn't deter Rotary. Went down that campaign, had another campaign later on. And then in 2007, we had one of the best things that's ever happened to Rotary, in my opinion, other than starting Rotary. And that was when Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation wired $100 million to the Rotary Foundation. $100 million. That's a lot of zeros. We didn't have a campaign. We weren't organized. We knew we could spend the money. So what he said was 2 stipulations. Now, we already had the money in the bank. 2 stipulations were, number one, this was in November 2007. He said, you must spend this money on the eradication of polio by December the 31st of 2008. Trust, confidence. What better recognition could Rotary get than that kind of trust or confidence that an individual places in you? Second stipulation. I want you to raise $100 million by June the 30th of 2010. Now, there was nothing in there that said that if we spent the money but didn't raise it, we had to turn it back. Because that wasn't the intent. The intent was to move down this journey for the eradication of polio. You didn't. You were successful. We were standing making an announcement in Anaheim where the district governor-elect used to go for training and said, we had little over $49 million. You know what? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation executive director at that time came to Los Angeles, Anaheim, and said, we believe that you're going to be successful in raising the funds and in the eradication of polio, and we want to join your organization. And we're going to give you another $100 million if you will raise $100 million more, but we're going to let you go to 2012. We didn't. You didn't. We raised $228.7 million. And I can remember very well because I happened to be the one that they asked to be chairman of that campaign. You did. You know that we still have an agreement with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that if we give $50 million a year, spend that, we do it through WHO, UNICEF, he will give us $100 million. Well, last year, thanks to you, and by the way, this club has contributed over $54,000 toward the eradication of polio since we began this challenge. So thank you for that. Last year, we raised 50.02. So that's what you call winning in the fourth quarter with 2 seconds left to go. But we made it. Our recent October meeting of the trustees, we allocated 49 million because we had given them 51 the year before. So because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints gave us $1 million specifically for that campaign. So we allocated it to WHO and UNICEF, and they submit grants to a grants committee for the foundation, the International Polio Plus Committee, who then evaluates it, and then it goes to the trustees. So we allocated that 50 million. In January, by the 15th of January, we'll get $100 million wire transfer to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So all of a sudden our assets jump up, and then we have a meeting and we spend another 50 million, and then in June we'll spend another 50 million, so we're back down to what we normally would have. But you did it. It was because you cared enough to get involved. That's the money side. What about the people side? India. You've never been to India. Judy and I have been several times. Let me tell you, I've never seen so many kids in my entire life. 140 million in one day. Walking through garbage in streets in Pune. And up near the border of China, Pakistan, Afghanistan. They're polio free. 4 years ago, Nigeria became polio free. The entire continent of Africa is now polio free. You did it. We're now down to 2 countries. Afghanistan hadn't had a case since January the 1st, 2021. Pakistan has not had a case since January the 27th of 21. But we all know we have to go 3 years without a case. So GPEI has a new plan, strategic plan that we've all adopted. Rotary sits in on those meetings and is a founding member of the GPEI. By 2023, we will have eradicated polio, both the wild virus and the vaccine-derived virus, from Afghanistan and Pakistan by the end of 2023. 2026, we will have had no polio cases anywhere in the world for 3 years, including the wild polio virus and the vaccine-derived virus. So we will be able to declare the world polio-free by 2026. Thank you for making that happen. Thank you for the opportunity to save a child's life. 19.4 million people are walking today that would not be able to walk if it wasn't for you and your generous contribution. Polio is still our #1 priority program. Now, I've been asked 2 questions about our polio campaign. First question I was asked is, what is the divorce between Bill and Melinda going to do with Rotary? Not knowing their personal lives, I can tell you that we have a contract through 2023. And I can tell you that both Bill and Melinda are committed to eradicating polio and working with Rotary. Second question, what is going to happen in Afghanistan? Never been to Afghanistan, don't intend to go to Afghanistan, but WHO, UNICEF, and our other partners are there. Mike McGovern, our chairman of IPPC, is going to Pakistan 2 weeks from now. But on November the 8th, the Taliban has agreed to let us go door to door, which is very important to be sure we reach all of the children and do vaccinations door to door, and we must reach 10 million children during that campaign. They've also agreed to let female healthcare workers participate by going and delivering that vaccine. 2 great accomplishments. So I believe that the end is in sight for Afghanistan and Pakistan. Pakistan is currently doing door to door, and they're doing their border crossings. They put the little their purple paint on their fingernail. And matter of fact, does anybody know a Dunkin' Donut franchise person around here? You ever seen a picky paper? You got them, y'all help sell them. That thing, that crazy program, which was a visionary, one Rotarian, $1.3 million. Guy from Knoxville, Tennessee called me and I said, yeah, we do this. I'm like, we'll do anything. So we did it. It's a great program. It didn't cost us much money at all to do that. So thank you for your contributions. There's plenty of money that we can use for polio. We have $50 million to raise this year. We're working hard to do that. We're asking each club to do a minimum of $1,500. If you've been doing that, I'll tell you this, you don't do as much as Chattanooga is, so maybe you ought to come up with a challenge or something. That's a low blow. That's the way it goes. We're asking each district to do 20% of their DDF. And I can tell you that zones 30 and 31, every district besides one does 20%. It's not your district, by the way. Every district besides one does 20% of their DDF, but they raise that equivalency and give it in cash. So the reason you do it, we're doing it for DDF is because the World Fund was matching it until we ran out of money in the World Fund. Which brings me to the next subject. That happens to be our annual program fund. Our goal this year is $125 million. Last year, I chaired a committee because we were going to run out of money for World Fund match. Because 50% of that money comes back to the district, the other 50% goes into the World Fund. So we pay for global grants out of the World Fund. We were going to run out of funds based on our projection of the number of grants we were getting by December of 2020. Now that's not even halfway through the year. So we said, we got to make some changes. So we took a business approach and we said, first thing we're going to do, we're not going to go after Rotarians for more money until we cut expenses. So we cut expenses of $5 million, almost $5 million. Now that meant some staff is no longer there. That meant some changes were made in the way that we do operations within the building, but that's okay. We haven't missed a beat. We did say, we're not traveling as much. We still have a moratorium on traveling right now. Some of us just don't pay attention. So we said that, okay, why don't we take $7.5 million out of our reserves? So we're required to have a certain minimum. We'd like to have 3 years worth of operating reserve, but we're down to about 1.5 years now. So we took $7.5 million there. And we said, well, what's wrong with Rotary? They're saving money too. Why don't we ask them to match that? So they matched it to $7.5 million. So we had 20 more million. We said, that'll get us through June 30th. It didn't. It got us through May the 15th. Because we did put $3 million in reserve scholarships, because the people don't apply for scholarships until later in the year. 2,067 global grants were given last year. 2,067. I believe your district has 4 of those this current year. One is for a human-built machine equipment. 2 of them have to do with water and sanitation projects. And 1 is building toilets in a school. What better things can you do with your money? You can't take it with you. So we're looking for $95 million for our endowment this coming year. Our goal is 2.025 billion by 2025. We now have 1.6 billion, a little over 1.6 billion in cash and in expectancies. We'll make it because you're going to help us do that. And we thank you for that. What about our Peace Center program? We graduate 50 peace scholars to work in conflict resolution every year from 5 universities. We have 2 universities that have 6-month programs. So we have all of those individuals. We're starting a new peace center in the Middle East and North Africa. Can you think of another part of the world that needs conversations, commitments to create peace and understanding than the Middle East? North Africa? We've got a committee that will announce that selection before the end of this Rotary year. They told me it's going to take 5 years to do this. I said, I'm an engineer and I've never had 5 years to design a project in my entire life. So let's see what we can do and do it in a year. So we'll have it named, then it will take another year to get all the students selected and everything. So we'll end up being a 2 to 3 year program, but that's better than 5, isn't it? Fantastic program. How about the environment? Are we concerned about our environment? Look at that beautiful river out there, the barge going down, and the scenery and everything going on. And sure, we're concerned about our environment. So we added the environment as a 7th area of focus this year. So we now have the environment. What about the youth? We got several youth back here. I don't know why they're not in Rotary, but that's another challenge for y'all. So, but they're the future. They are the future of our country, of our world. And if we don't give them the right opportunities, who knows where we'll go? So let's concentrate on our youth. So in January, Rotary Club members can now apply for global grants coming January the 1st of 2022. They can apply for grants along with districts. Now they can work with the districts and still participate in grants, but then they can apply on their own. What better opportunities do we have to invest our money than the Rotary Foundation? It is your foundation. It does not belong to the trustees or the board of directors. It's your foundation. And we spend that money effectively and efficiently on doing good in the world. Now, I could talk for another 30, 45 minutes, but you're not going to listen for another 30, 45 minutes. I understand that. As a matter of fact, you're about 15 minutes, you're going to be about through listening to anything anybody has to say. I have another saying that says, the mind will only absorb what the rear end will endure. So thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for your participation locally and globally. And have a great day.
Thank you so much, Chairman German. I had to tell you that polio is the reason that I am involved with Rotary. I spent 100 years as a medical journalist. And the work that you're doing with polio, as well as visiting the polio hospital in Klumph, India, which is Sisters of Charity of Nazareth. So, yeah, Rotarians, please make your way to the mic for any questions that you may have for the chairman.
John, could you comment, I know that we're down to 2 cases this year. Does that mean that our fundraising efforts are going to recede for polio, or is there need for more money, and tell us why?
Well, you remember we were going to eradicate polio for $120 million. And I asked Bill Sargent, who was chair of the IPPC committee one time, I said, how did y'all come up with $120 million? He said, well, it was about 100 million children. It cost 60 cents at that time to do this. So we had some slush money. I said, Bill, you ever think people still gonna be having babies? You know, we have to vaccinate 450 million children per year until there is no more polio. COVID didn't originate in the United States. It originated outside of it. It came here, didn't it? What has it done to devastate all of our communities? The same thing could happen with polio. Polio now costs us this next year's budget, which just got approved by the I'm on the finance committee, is $932 million. Because we have to buy the vaccine. We have to hire healthcare workers, and they get paid like $25 a day. So if anybody wants to apply, I'll get you a job. You go door to door. So we have all those expenses. We spend money for making the communities aware of the need, especially in Afghanistan and Pakistan, to get those children vaccinated. So we need 932 million, Woody. So thank you for your, you won't bother my pen.
Again, thank you so much, Chairman Germ. Now, you know, as a journalist, you know we can't keep secrets. So I asked the chairman to assist Vice President Gerson in pinning Paul Harris recipient, and there was quite a story about pinning a Paul Harris pin. Would you like to share?
See why you don't trust the media? Dolly Parton happens to be a friend of Judy and I. So we're going to get her in Los Angeles for a convention, and she don't like to fly. So she had a commitment. So she took a job that paid her $15 million in the United Kingdom. And spent time over there. But she said, I'll come the next time. So she got her bus, their driver, their equipment that came to Montreal. We did a little skit before the thing over, such I would ask her questions and she would answer the questions like, how long does it take you to do your hair? She says, I don't know, I've never been there. Well, she wears so many wigs. She loves to go outside and she loves to camp out. She loves to go with her husband out there. And I said, people don't recognize you. She said, no, I'll wear double XL shirts, slacks, blue jeans, boots, no wigs, nobody ever recognizes. So anyway, after we go through about 20, 30 minutes of this, and she's talking about imagination library or everything, I decided that we would give her a Paul Harris Fellow. Now, I am 6'1", a little more. She's a little bit shorter than you are, right? And so here I am with a pen. Get your imagination going. So I'm ready to pin her. So I'm trying to find a place to put this pen. And she says, what are you looking at? And then she says, now be careful where you pin this, or you and I will be flying around this room.
So much, Sharon. It's a small gift from us, and please come back and visit us. All right.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
Come this way. There's, I know, there's a semester.
Wait, so let's fall this way, right?
Oh, gosh, thank you, guys. Another hand, please. To the vote for today's announcements.
Hello Rotarians, here is a brief outline of what is happening at our club. Thanks to those who joined us for the meal at the Recenter Ministries, the third oldest continuously operating mission in the U.S. with a successful program for addiction rehab. Contact Larry Sloan, Chairman of the Lifeline Committee. Larry's here somewhere. If you would like to participate in the next meal on November 17th. We will once again be ringing bells for the benefit of the Salvation Army this year at Holiday Manor Kroger on US Highway 42. There will be 4 shifts, 9 to 10:30, 10:30 to noon, noon to 1:30, 1:30 to 3, and we need 4 people per shift. I hope you're all writing that down. The dates are Saturday, December 4th, 11th, and the 18th. And you can sign up for this event via the events calendar on DACPB or the old-fashioned way with George Brentmeyer out in the lobby. The Awards and Recognition Committee is now seeking nominations for the Rotary Lifetime Service Award. This award is presented annually to a Rotarian who has been a member of the club for 10 years and has demonstrated a lifelong adherence to Rotary's service above self ideals. The nomination form was sent out yesterday via email, and your nomination, and there's also a form on the tables. And these nominations need to be turned into the office by November 26th. Our Rotary holiday celebration will be either Wednesday, December 1st or Thursday, December 2nd. Social committee is working on finalizing the plans. It'll be at Big Spring Country Club. Cash bar will open at 6, followed by dinner and entertainment beginning at 7. Dinner will be a buffet, 2 salads, 3 meats, 3 vegetables. You're going to be full way before Christmas. And there'll be hot bowls of coffee and a holiday dessert. Only $60 gets you this live music, giveaways, surprises, such a deal. Register via the link in Sparks, the DACPB calendar for yesterday's email. Next Thursday's meeting will feature our very own Whitney Austin, Rotarian, and co-founder and executive director of Whitney Strong. Lunch will be the hot round, so you won't want to miss this, and you won't want to miss Whitney's speech. I have heard her talk, and she has an amazing story and an amazing program. Yeah, we also appreciate you signing up in advance, a week in advance for the meetings. Please use the link provided in the RSVP email that you received, or scan the QR code at your table. Note that the reservations close by Friday at 4 o'clock. That's a deadline that the restaurant requires. The meetings will also be available by Zoom. And quickly, here's some upcoming meetings. November 18th, Bloom, Kentucky, an initiative with Terry Brooks and Barry Allen. 11/24, a special Wednesday meeting, faith panel discussing the spiritual discipline of gratitude. December 2nd, no meeting due to the holiday party. And December 9th, Chris Kimmel, founder, Humanity in Deep Space, Space Tango. And our annual Mayor's State of the City address will be on January 18th. And now for birthdays. Celebrating birthdays this week are November 4th, today, John Yarmouth, November 7th, Aaron Wells, November 8th, Ken Sabachi and Pete Lamb, November 9th, Ken Grossman and Cynthia Napak, and November 10th, Ty Andy and Mike Cool. Back to you, President.
I'd like to do a class photograph with Chairman Germ and all visiting and current past presidents, vice president, district governors, all y'all put up here and have a big photograph before we close the meeting. Where's Judy? Come on. Everybody. President, vice president, president-elect, all of you guys.
Very loud. Oh, wow. That's everybody up here. All right, everybody, we're gonna look here first to me and then we'll look at him, so make sure I can see your face. I don't want anybody hiding. If somebody's hiding, call them out. All right. Nobody blink. All right. He's already gone.
He did what you're thinking about it.
Meeting is adjourned.